Hi guys, I just wanted to give you a little bit more explanation about this homework assignment number 4 because it is a little bit more complex assignment than the other 3 assignments, homework assignments that we have had before. This assignment is about pricing and merchandising, so it is involving a lot of different, a case with a lot of different price changes of merchandise that involves different markups and markdowns, that kind of situation. So it is testing. This assignment is basically trying to give you an opportunity to think about all markups and markdowns and all those discussions, all pricing related discussions, together in a kind of a real world like a case scenario. Okay. So let me kind of read through the case and explain a little bit further of maybe the meanings of the specific numbers and things like that, maybe which may help you in doing the actual assignment. So this assignment instruction is structured in a way that it shows partial stories about the case followed by a question that is related to that story. Okay, and then another story is showing in the same case, just kind of continuing story. So further information is given about the case, and then a question is given in relation to the first and the second story kind of combined together, and then a third kind of further story is given again, and then another question. So there are 3 questions or big questions, and there are kind of associated information that is given right before the question is asked. Okay, so the first kind of part of the case story is this. At the end of October, so kind of imagine yourself as a buyer. Okay, and then you have a key vendor who approached you and offered a group of 60 dozen knit tops. And 60 dozen, so in terms of number of units, that would be 60 times 12 units, right? So they're just giving the offers, the vendor is giving the offers in terms of in number of dozen units, okay? Which is very typical case for knit products. And this knit type, this time this vendor is offering this at a promotional price, that's a promotional cost from the retailer's perspective. At $96 per dozen. So that's the cost for these 60 dozen knit tops. Okay. This vendor, this is a pretty good price, obviously good cost, low cost from the retailer's perspective, because if you just keep reading that paragraph, it says that these tops are comparable in quality and styling to similar merchandise purchased before from the same vendor at $144 per dozen. So before, the same vendor offered a similar kind of merchandise at a higher cost. Okay, now they are giving a promotional offer at a lower cost. Okay, and then it says that the merchandise that the buyer had before, okay, at the regular kind of $144 per dozen that cost, this buyer retailed or sold these items at $25 each. So that $25 would be the retail price of this these items, the items that the buyer bought at $144 per dozen. It says, and that was when these items were sold for $25 and purchased for $144 per dozen. That's when they apply the normal departmental markup. So you hear, given the information about the cost that the vendor purchased these type of knit tops before, $144 per dozen, and the regular price that the buyer sold these items for, which is $25, you can kind of calculate what is the markup percent the department normally applies to these type of merchandise. Okay, so you can get an idea about normal departmental markup percent. Now, given this information, the first question, question A, was asked for you to answer. Okay, if this new promotional merchandise group purchase were to be retailed at the normal departmental markup percent, okay, then what would be the retail price per piece? Okay, so now this vendor's offering this new merchandise at a very good, good cost, low cost, And if you buy these merchandise at this cost and then you market them with after putting a normal departmental markup percent, then how much would be the retail price? That's the question, right? And under the question, I gave some tips, right? In order to answer this question, you're going to have to kind of go through these steps and answer all these things. First, you're going to have to calculate the unit cost for the normal merchandise, right? The existing merchandise, which were given as $144 per dozen. So then how much it is per piece, okay, when that was the cost per dozen, right? And then also you need to calculate the normal departmental markup percent based on that unit cost that you just calculated and the $25 unit retail that was given in the case instruction. So based on that R and C, retail and cost, you can calculate the markup percent, right? And then you need to also know the unit cost, the cost per dozen, cost per piece of this new promotional merchandise that will be purchased at $96 per dozen, right? If $96 per dozen, then how much would it be for each piece, right? And so given this cost and the markup percent that you calculate above, then you can now figure out the retail value of this new promotional merchandise per piece. Right? Now that you know the markup percent and cost, you can calculate retail. So this question is asking you, kind of trying to see whether you are able to convert the cost that were given for dozen to a unit cost, a cost per piece or unit, right? Which is pretty easy calculation. You just divide the cost per dozen by 12, that will be the unit cost, right? Another thing that this question is asking you to do is whether you can actually apply the RCM relationship. When you know the markup percent and cost, can you calculate retail? Things like when you know the cost and retail, can you calculate markup percent? Those kind of the RCM, the three important formulas that we've talked about a lot. Kind of you're asked to use a couple of those formulas to answer this kind of question, which is asking what would be the retail price per piece for this new promotional merchandise. And then the story continues. Now that the promotional merchandise, the 60 dozen knit tops that you purchased, this buyer purchased, consists of 3 different styles. Okay, so the styles, they group them into 3 different styles. So group A, group B, group C. So style A, style B, style C, or something like that. Group A had 30 dozen pieces, and group B 20 dozen pieces, and C for 10 dozen pieces. So they're kind of different quantities, right? As a combined offering, the sizes are well balanced, the colors are good, everything, so they're going pretty well. But the group A is more staple in styling. Group B is like a pretty hot, trendy kind of things, and group C is more avant-garde, which means more fashion forward, a little bit risky items, right? So the buyer feels the purchase would be ultimately advantageous because they are looking good in styling, right? So that will probably lead to an improved sales even if you apply the normal departmental markup percent. However, since the sales have been sluggish in the department, the buyer is considering pricing these items for lower markup than the usual normal departmental markup percent. Okay, so the buyer is considering applying a lower markup percent than the normal departmental markup percent, so that she or he can stimulate the sales during this Thanksgiving sales. So the buyer is considering pricing the following original retail prices for these new promotional merchandise. In question A, we would have to calculate the retail dollar. So the original retail dollar, what original retail dollar per piece the new promotional merchandise would be if the normal departmental markup percent were to be applied, right? But now the story is changing that the buyer decided not to apply the normal departmental markup percent. Instead, he or she is going to apply different markup percent for these 3 groups of merchandise. Okay, so the first group, the new purchase group A, is going to be now priced at $16. The group B is going to be priced at $18. Group C is going to be priced at $20. And these are their original retail prices. So from the beginning, the buyer decided that, okay, normal markup is not going to be the way. I'm going to go with a different kind of markups here. So there, the three groups of a new promotional purchase that the buyer makes are going to be all sold at different retail prices, which means they are going to be sold with different markups, right? Because their costs are the same, but they're selling at different prices. Given this buyer's new plan for this new merchandise, now the question B, the second question is to determine the average market percent for the entire promotional merchandise, so these 60 dozen pieces, group A, B, C combined, based on their original retail price that the buyer just decided above, okay, $16, $18, $20, those for group A, B, and C respectively. So you just basically have to calculate average markup for that. Okay, knowing their quantities for each group, that you know the quantity, right, and their original retail prices. Okay, and you know their cost, the unit cost, because that was given in the initial setup, right, the top part of the case, right. So combining these pieces of information together, you set up, and I probably would recommend maybe trying to draw a grid in a Word document, or maybe you can use Excel. Either way is fine. Try to calculate the total cost and total retail for these three groups of promotional merchandise all combined together, from which you can calculate the AMU percent, average markup percent, right? So that is the question. So I would expect to see total cost dollar, total retail dollar, and AMU percent in your answer. And you can utilize a Word document and just type in the answers, or draw a grid on a Word document, like a table or something like that, to show the unit cost and unit retail, total cost, total cost, total retail, and markup columns, as we use the setup for doing a lot of AMU percent related calculations. Or you could create the same thing on an Excel spreadsheet to do the calculation. Either way is fine, as long as you show me what the total cost is and total retail is and the AMU percent is, and how you came up with those numbers. Okay. Okay, now the story continues. Okay. However, as the buyer reviewed the stock condition of the department, the existing current stock condition, it seemed that the present inventory or current inventory was higher than planned. Okay. And the report showed that there are four different current or present inventory group, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. In the first group, 290 pieces, okay, and that are current and saleable at the original price of $25, so they're okay. Okay, 290 pieces are okay. The second group is 120 pieces that remained from a recent promotion, so they still kind of carry the promotional price, a retail price, so it's like a discounted retail price, which is $24, but they are broken in size and color. Okay. And the third inventory group, the current inventory group, a group of 65 pieces, all one style. They're currently selling at the original price, but they are selling very slowly, so consumers are not liking them all that much. Okay. The fourth group, there are 15 pieces that are badly soiled, and they're currently priced at $21. Okay. Remember that all of these pieces were originally purchased at $144 per dozen, so they were part of the existing knit tops that were similar to the new promotional merchandise that the buyer newly purchased. And all these present inventory pieces groups were originally retailed at $25 each. Okay, although they are currently retailed for different prices. Some are still sold for original retail prices, and some are sold for with a little bit of markdowns, right? Like the group 2 and group 4 had a little bit of markdown because they're currently sold for $24 and $21 respectively. So now that we know the present or current inventory situation, as well as the newly purchased merchandise that's coming in, okay, both kinds of merchandise, okay, we're combining all of them together. So we had 4 groups of knit tops that are in the current present inventory, as well as 3 groups of knit tops that are coming in, right, from the new purchases. Okay, So with all of these knit tops together, now this buyer is planning for Thanksgiving sale, very high volume period, high sales volume period, right? The buyer wants to do a really good job during this Thanksgiving period. Okay, the proper pricing would be very, very important to be able to get rid of all of them. Let's think about it that way. The buyer noted that there is a $1,000 markdown money available for November, which the buyer can use for the Thanksgiving time. Okay, so $100 markdown money. Markdown money basically means a markdown allowance. That means the buyer can take up to $1,000 net markdown on her merchandise. All the knit tops combined together, the present inventory as well as the new merchandise coming in. Okay. In order to decide how to use this available November markdown allowance money, $1,000, okay, how to divide up or distribute this $1,000 net markdown that she can take down, the buyer came up with two potential courses of action. So two options that she has, right? Option number one, she could use this markdown allowance money to clear the present inventory, which means she's going to mark down the present inventory, right? She had won the first group that had no problem selling at the original price, selling pretty well. So she could just maintain the current price, the original price for the first group. But then there were three groups, group 2, 3, and 4, that had a problem, right? The group 2 was broken in assortment, and the group 3 was slowly selling, and group 4 was very badly soiled. So maybe the buyer could actually mark them down to $20. So that's the option one, right? So they're going to be all marked down to $20. So those three problem groups are among the present inventory. The first group of present inventory was fine, so it's not going to be marked down. Okay. Whereas the buyer is going to maintain the original retail prices for the new promotional purchases. So original prices mean the $16 for group A, $18 for group B, and $20 for group C. You remember there were three different groups that carried different original retail prices, and she's going to just maintain those retail prices. Okay. So if this is the case, okay, then what's going to be the outcome? Okay. And the other option that she's also considering is, instead of doing it that way, using this markdown money, she could use this markdown money to actually generate more excitement in the store, okay, by marking down the new promotional purchase. Okay, this new promotional purchases, there are new merchandise, they're looking good. They were the original retail price that the buyer decided are already pretty low. However, if the buyer marks it down even further, okay, then it's going to be really, really like a good deal for consumers. So the consumers will really, maybe we can actually generate some excitement in the store, and consumers will be really drawn to the store. You know, that's the kind of things that the buyer is thinking about. Okay, so she could actually utilize this markdown money to retail this new promotional merchandise, okay, for a promotional markup of 50%. Okay. The normal department markup is a lot higher, and even with the original retail, which was lower, 16, 18, 20, it would probably still be higher than 50% markup, right? But now she's considering, let's apply only 50% markup on every item, okay? While selling all the present inventory groups at their current prices. Current prices mean group 1 for $25, group 2 for $24, group 3, $25, group 4, $21, you know, the information that was given in the previous paragraphs. So if that's the case, then what's going to be the outcome? Okay, so the buyer has to compare these two options and project how these items are going to sell if the buyer price them this way, all this way, and which one is going to give the buyer a better outcome. Okay. So given these options and all the background stories and information, now the last question is question C. Let's assume that whichever course of action, whichever option 1 or option 2, this buyer decides to take, all the present inventory and all the new promotional merchandises will all sell out. So that means sell out means they're going to sell all of them, right? So all of the items are going to be sold, okay? And nothing is going to be left unsold. If that assumption can be made, okay, and then there are no other markdowns in the department, so they're only going to mark down these knit tops, okay? And based on these assumptions, okay, decide which option the buyer should pursue. Okay, with option 1 is better or option 2 is better. That's the question. And you do not only choose the option, but you have to mathematically justify your option selection, your suggestion. Okay, and the tips that are given here is that you probably need to show which option will give the better outcome, better result, right? The result will have to be shown with numbers, right? The numbers that you need to show are net sales, net markdowns, and maintain markup percent. Okay, so if you go with the option 1, remember that whichever option you choose, you're going to sell all of them, right? All present inventory and all new merchandise. So, okay, you have to calculate what net sales you're going to be able to achieve given the pricing plan each option gives, okay, and then how much markdown you will end up taking, right? In terms of net markdown dollar, okay. Remember, all items are going to be sold, so you kind of have to calculate the dollar markdown for each item, and then how many units existing in that group of merchandise, combine, multiply them number of items by the dollar markdown to know what is the net markdown for each group of merchandise, and then you can combine them all groups together to know what is the total net markdown, right, for the entire merchandise. So you have to calculate the net sales and net markdowns and maintain markup for entire merchandise, including both the present inventory and new promotional merchandise all together, and choose the option that gives a better result, better net sales, better markdowns, better maintain markups. Remember, conceptually try to think what we mean by better net sales and better markdowns and better maintain markup. Do we want net sales to be higher? Do we want net markdown to be higher? Do we want maintain markup to be higher or lower? Think about it. Okay, so you kind of have to know the organic relationships among these things, as well as which would be a better direction for each of these numbers to go for you to determine, okay, the option 1 gives this net sale, option 2 gives this net sale, so this option is better. That kind of conclusion can be made, right? Do the calculation and show your work. Either you can do it on a Word document, just kind of say what's the net sales for option 1, what's the net markdown dollar for option 1, maintain markup percent for option 1, and how you calculate them. Okay, and do the same thing for option 2. You can do it that way, or you can utilize an Excel spreadsheet to kind of set things up and do the calculation and show me how you calculate them. Okay, in case you want to use an Excel spreadsheet, and I actually posted a kind of suggested spreadsheet format. Okay, you go to that homework assignment instruction link, then you will be able to find the suggested Excel spreadsheet format, and that may be really helpful. And I'm okay if you want to use some other format. Okay, that's perfectly fine with me. If you want to use and create your own Excel spreadsheet format, that's fine. But I just gave you a suggested format or recommended format there, just to help you and give you an idea about what kind of format may be useful. Okay, but it's not a mandatory. You don't even have to use Excel. You can just use Word to show your work. That's perfectly fine with me too. Whichever way that is more convenient for you, and it's more intuitive to you, go with it. Here, and it's like I said earlier, it says that the recommended spreadsheet format is posted on Canvas, and the name for the spreadsheet file is HW assignment 4-question C spreadsheet. So you can find that that spreadsheet if you want to use a spreadsheet, or another spreadsheet format is fine too, like I said before. All right. But you can show your calculation on the spreadsheet, but whether you use Word or spreadsheet, when you explain your option, why you chose that option based on the calculation, right? you will have to use a Word document. So you have to type in what the explanation of why just by your choice. Okay. Another thing that I would encourage you to remember is when you calculate dollar markdown for each group of merchandise given the option plans, remember that the dollar markdown has to be calculated based on how much reduction is taken from the original retail price of that group. Okay, not the current retail price, because some of the present inventory group, the current retail price is already marked down, right? But this is like additional markdown you're taking, right? For some of the option 1, actually you're taking additional markdowns, right? Then you have to give the entire markdown from the original retail price, given the new price that option is suggesting. Okay. So don't be confused. It's not the previous retail that you need to use to calculate markdown, because the dollar markdown is the difference between the previous retail and the lower retail, right? The previous retail is the original retail, not the current retail price. So what you're gonna have to turn in to me is going to be all the mathematical work that shows your calculation to answer each of the questions. Okay, question A, question B, question C. If you use a Word document, be very explicit and use labels to show, like, the number means what, right? So you have to say what net sales equals, and then show the work for the net sales, for example, things like that. If you don't show the work and just give me final answer only, you're not going to get any points. I need to see your formulas, and concepts that you use, all of them. Okay. If you use Excel spreadsheet, then utilize column headings and row headings and things like that to clearly show what numbers you're calculating. Okay. Then you're gonna have to have a Word document that is about the written explanation for your answer to question C, like which option of markdown plan you're gonna take and why, and that one. So especially if you use the Excel spreadsheet to do the calculation part of the mathematical part of question C, then you're gonna have to have another Word document, another page on the Word document. To explain why you chose which option you're going to choose and why you're choosing that option. Okay. And don't forget to format your assignment, whether it's a Word document or Excel document. Either way, go through the requirements in the syllabus. Make sure that you're following all the directions in the syllabus for the format requirements. And then I'm giving you here the grading rubric that I'm going to use, and just make sure that you've done all of this. You are clearly showing all the numbers that are required to show here in this grading criteria, as well as the formatting. Okay. You can upload all your assignment file. You may have only one Word file or one Word and one Excel file. Either way, you can either upload just one file or both files together using the assignment submission link, and you can find the homework assignment 4 and upload the files there, as you always have done for other assignments. Well, I hope this explanation helped you a little bit, in terms of kind of understanding what the assignment requires a little bit better, and also some of the tips that I wanted to share with you to just kind of make it a little bit easier for you to work on it. If you have any questions, please shoot me emails. But I hope that this video really helped you. Alright, thank you. Good luck with your assignment.